For Daily Ask Reddit. People of Reddit, what is a surprisingly unknown survival fact that everyone should know? If you like the video, drop a like and subscribe so you never miss our daily videos. You can squeeze relatively safe water out of moss. Obviously you should still boil it, and it's going to have some dirt, but it's way better than drinking out of a steam or puddle. You can remove the top of your car seats to break the windows of your car in case you can't open the doors. Especially useful if you drive into a lake or something like that. It's important to note that you don't just swing the headrest at the window, it'll just bounce off. You have to wedge the metal down where the glass meets the door and pry it. The pressure will shatter the glass. Then you can use the headrest or something else in the car to clear the glass without cutting your hands up. Most subway platforms have a space for a person to crawl under in case they fall on the subway's tracks. So if you fall off the edge of the platform and onto the tracks, instead of trying to climb back up, if you see a train coming, there's a crawl area underneath. It might be tight and you'll certainly get dirty, but better than dying. To come to mind, hypothermia can strike extremely quickly, even when temps are well above freezing. In fact, it's said that more people die of hypothermia in summer than in winter. I've experienced it several times. Wind and a sudden cold rain are the common denominator. Here's a great first-hand story of a guy who experienced hypothermia on a 100-degree day in Virginia. So even in the summer, be very careful about hypothermia, particularly if you're going into higher elevations. The vast majority of people I see on day hiking trails seem to be completely unprepared for any change in weather. They're worried about bears, but not about rain. Totally backwards. Here in North America, hypothermia is almost always the greatest danger when you're doing stuff in the outdoors. When I'm doing a multi-day backpack or canoe/kayak trip, I always pack a set of dry, non-cotton thermal underwear and wool socks in a small dry sack, not to be touched unless everything else is soaked and I'm shivering. To date, that's happened twice, and I've been extremely grateful to have it. Short hikes are, in my experience, the most dangerous. This is because we tend to not take them as seriously. A person going on a 2-hour hike will likely not pack much, may not take a map or even really consult a map, may not tell anyone where they're going, etc. They may think that a liter of water and their cell phone is basically all that they need. All it takes for disaster to strike is getting off the trail and getting turned around, and or for an ankle or leg to get broken. Throw in dampness and a miserable night of shivering. Hypothermia can strike at temps well above freezing, especially if you're wet, and suddenly that person is substantially weakened less than 24 hours after setting out. Here in the PNW, it happens all of the time. Somebody will venture off of a well-established day hiking trail, not respecting the fact that it's a rugged semi-wilderness all around them, and they'll get turned around and suddenly find that their phone lost coverage in all of those mountains. They'll start wandering. They'll do something stupid like follow the river to civilization, which in the mountains is generally horrible advice. And cue the rescue team. I'd consider myself a veteran hiker/backpacker, but I once got turned around on a crazy simple day hike. Ended up not getting back to my car until well after dark. After that experience, I made a simple survival kit in an all-gene bottle, essentially the bare minimum that I'd need to reliably survive a few days on my own. And I always throw it in my backpack on even the shortest trails. If you're trapped in an extremely cold environment, a rudimentary igloo will keep you relatively warm. If you're smart about it, they keep heat fairly well. However, always be sure to mark where you are with something that won't get covered in snow, so if rescue comes they don't miss you in the snow. You don't need to actually build an igloo, that's a lot of work. In Norway we learn that if you get caught out in a blizzard, dig a cave in the snow and seal it with a block of snow as best you can. The ability to weave, looked at as more of a craft than a survival skill. But my grandma taught me that if you can weave you can make clothing, shoes, traps, shelter, etc. with nothing more than the vegetation on hand. This was hammered home later when watching that show with naked survival people. The guy harassed the girl because she spent most of the first 2 days weaving, but in the end he had to be taken out because he was sick, yet there she was having crab for dinner. I've got to If you are ever caught in a rip current, swim perpendicular to it. If you swim into it, you will die. If you let it carry you out to sea and aren't a strong swimmer, you will die. If anyone ever is trying to get you to a second location via abduction, fight like hell and make a massive scene. Even if you are killed on the spot, that's better than whatever they've got in store for you.